three. Like, there's always, like, someone who wants to virtue signal about weed, but not, like, you know, Ozempic. Hello, and welcome back to the Know It Alls podcast. I'm Ayanda Charlie.
And I am Fezim Tonti, and we are your favorite pop culture nerds. You haven't seen our faces in a bit. We're sorry about that. But
You should have, though. You should have been going back, watching older episodes.
You're right. You know, this is not on us. You could have told a friend. You could have watched with a friend.
Please.
You could have gone back and said, yo, there are these two girls that talk about things and events.
Where is this going?
And life. In ways that are meaningful. But fun. Okay? So I'm not shaming you. I'm shaming the system. Anyway, I'm game master today. I don't know how this is gonna go.
Yeah, let's see how this goes.
But let me say that
Oh no.
I have been in the streets since our game aired, and people are shocked
That you didn't know those gentlemen.
I've been getting, some might say, backlash.
Yeah, no backlash.
Very close to really thinking about the ways in which conservatives abhor cancel culture, because I too have become a victim.
This could be your right-wing origin story. Yeah.
Exactly. You know when all the right-wing people in France realized that the vote was turning against them, I'm seeing how they got there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So that's who I am.
I don't know if that was me being blamed or the system.
It's the system. We all know it's the system.
It's the man.
Okay. So I have 5 questions for you. 2 of them I think are super easy. Easy breezy cover girl. So they're just gonna warm you up.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do something which I think should be a section, but we can have this conversation later. But remember this.
Like a show segment.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Amazon is a sitcom that was broadcast on
have you begun?
One.
Okay.
Yes. In South Africa between 1994 and 2004. It starred Roland Mqwebu, Jabulani Nkosi, Jerry Pele, Shadrack Ngema, and Vusi Tanda. Which room?
Not this paper 3-ass question.
Which room did the antics of these roommates happen in?
Well, that's a trick question because their kitchen and their living room were in the same.
No, the number of
room
the-
8.
There we go. Extra
In the
points-
hostel.
Yeah. Extra points if you can tell me who the surviving cast member is after 4 of them have unfortunately passed away.
Oh, it's the man who played Chawe, but I don't know I forget his real name.
Okay, but that's correct. Chawe?
The Xhosa man he was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Vusi Tanda.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Question 2.
Okay. Why does this feel like a confrontation?
Sorry, it's just I may be bringing in
Something from
the last game.
something from off camera. these are your grievances. Okay.
These are my grievances and how the world has responded to me.
Because you're like, fine. Next question.
Okay. Boom Shaka consisted of Junior Sokela, Lebo Matosa, Theo Ntetlatwa, and Thembi Siete. Which pioneering music producer introduced them to one another and formed their group?
Oh, was it Mosquito?
No.
Not Spikiri.
Just, it's in that range, but no.
Yeah. I don't actually remember. I don't think I know that for a fact.
Okay.
I would be guessing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Don Laka.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
Right?
Shout out.
Right? That's pretty cool. Sorry. Am I coming with like aggressive energy? I love you. This is a safe space. Said no, I never. And meant it.
Let's keep going.
Okay. So now this is a little segment that I'd like to call, because now I'm bringing back my previous trauma of saying sorry to this man, to all those men.
The segment is called Sorry to This Man.
So the segment is called Sorry to This Human. Gonjubanlo. Okay, so we're playing Sorry to the Few Man. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm going to give you some clues.
Okay.
And then you are going to figure out who this potentially could be.
Okay.
Okay. I am a South African musician.
Oh, okay.
I was born in 1939.
That's crazy.
I was born in Orlando East. And I'm an actress that has appeared on Cry the Beloved Country.
Okay.
Who am I?
So you were born in 1939?
Yeah.
Oh, was that Uma Makasomizi? No. Cry the Beloved Country. I wouldn't say I've watched that. I have watched it, but it's so far back in my memory. I don't know.
Do you want another clue?
Please?
I have also been on Generations as a recurring.
And you were born in 1939. Why did that flow?
This is also why I put it here.
Because how it's so dare you be born in 1939?
Who am I?
And this is a mama?
Yes.
This is a mama.
I'm a who man.
So please say the clues again, initially.
I am a South African musician.
Musician.
Yes.
And
I was born in 1939. I was born in Orlando East. I'm an actress.
Wait, have I ever been in a girl band?
Have you? Maybe. You seem like you would have been. But tell
It's
me
not-
who you think it is.
It's not Abigail.
Oh, it is!
Yes! She was in a little girl band with Mama Miriam and the other lady. Yes, so
okay,
cute.
actually, because I initially wanted to make it about Miriam, and then I was like, no, Abigail.
She gets her
Yes,
own lights.
yes.
Okay.
Look at you.
Thank you though for that lifeline. Okay, I'm focused now, guys.
Okay, second person. I am a South African Kwaito musician.
Yes.
I have starred in the Academy Award-winning film Tsotsi.
Of course.
I also, I think now I'm giving it away, reprised a role on the second season of Yizo Yizo. Who am I?
The second season.
Yes.
Oh, I wouldn't have any recollection of the second season of Yizo. So. But that's Tembisiete.
No.
Is it? Oh, because she wasn't in Tsotsi. Oh,
No.
is that Terry?
No, I'm a man. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, it's a man.
Yeah.
Uzola. Yes. Was Zola in Tsotsi?
I'm so bored.
Also, you just keep letting me guess, so it's not
bored.
like I get it right. Is he was in Tsotsi? Did you do the soundtrack and was in?
Yeah. And he was in...
Zola was in Tsotsi?
Yeah.
Yo, that man, like, did so much.
Yeah.
Yo, let's keep going. That's insane. I have a whole, like, treatise, and I'm actually actively working on, like, a video essay on Zola's career.
Oh, that's
Like-
fantastic.
All of that.
Okay.
Like, because I think he is one of our, and this is not necessarily an endorsement, but it's a comment on the career he had. He was one of our very few, like, superstars. Like, he's
Yeah.
someone who dominated the media
Yeah.
from every angle when he was up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his career is just
And
very
also just
instructive.
did, like, really interesting in that he ended up in philanthropy.
Oh?
Well, not philanthropy, but, like, started the reality television let's go back
Yes,
and give
the giving back. Yes, is that interesting?
So I think it's a little bit interesting given what has since happened
Yes.
from that kind
you're
of
talking about
format of
Yes,
That's
okay.
what I more mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more like what reality was as a genre
yes
back in the Zola
and then
days
also like
and
the,
what it is
yes
now.
and the wholesomeness of Zola's brand at the time
yes.
made it possible for a world in which we could do that.
Yes.
And now, like, there's no kind of iteration of that.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I think that's, like,
Yeah.
an interesting
Yeah.
thing to pitch in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the world building of Zola's story.
Yes.
Okay, my
So
final
true.
question. I am a South African pop and R&B singer. I've won 4 Sama Awards. I received the South African Style Award and have been named 100 of... Wait, one... Wait, how do I phrase this? 100... I've been part of the list of 100 of South Africa's most trustworthy public personalities by Reader's Digest.
That's crazy.
I've been included in that list. And this is on my Wikipedia page.
Am I alive?
Yes, you're very much alive.
And pop and R&B.
Yeah. You've won 4 Summer Awards. Mm-hmm. And Reader's Digest said, I'm one of 100 most trustworthy public personalities.
That's the real gag. That's what you really want us to know. Because what if I say it's Lyra?
I'm going to say no.
Who are we trusting more? According to Reader's Digest. Which year did Reader's Digest call me this?
Oh, back in the day.
I need the year.
Wait, I can find the year. I can do that. Don't you worry about that.
Because, first of all...
Oh, and I even took... I took first place, which saw the pot of 100,000 rand.
What is going on right now?
Donated to Compassionate Friends, a grief counseling service.
You're just saying anything.
I'm telling you why. I'm telling you when this happened. It doesn't tell me when I got this award. It just tells me that I have it. That's what the internet is telling me, that I have this thing. I don't know when.
This person is still alive.
This person is very much alive.
Pop and R&B.
Yes.
Pop and R&B.
Yes.
Afro pop.
No, this is also, I think it's worth telling you that this is a man.
Oh, whole time I'm thinking of a woman. Woman.
I told you it's human.
You did.
I told you the segment is called Who is This Human?
Yes, guys. There comes a time in your podcast career, because if you've lived, you've started a podcast, where you just go, wow, I put aside time each week to giggle from my gut. This is the man. Is it Loyiso? Literally, I don't know who our R&B people are.
No, it's not.
Are you going to tell me?
You got one more guess?
Because Reader's Digest.
And you won.
No.
You were told that you were...
Is it Ishmael?
The most trustworthy public personality in South Africa.
In South Africa.
Yes, when you got this award. But the internet won't tell me when you got this award. But it must have been early 2000s.
And I'm an R&B. Literally, guys.
Just stick to, I've won 4 Summer Awards.
Because that should help.
We need to make this a traveling game. I really think this would be really fun.
A road show.
Okay. You know who I am?
God. Who
I'm
are
Danny
you?
K.
And you ruined my makeup. Is this oh my God. Shout, let it all out. These are the things that I can do without. That's why we trusted him, because he had crime aid. Crime reduces.
Innocence makes everyone angry, I declare.
I want to tell you that's who I'm talking about. He took first place. And the internet says, which saw the pot of 100,000 donated to Compassionate Friends, a grief counseling service in memory of his late
And
brother.
this was the man we trusted.
Yeah, we said this is the most...
No.
This is the most reliable public personality in South Africa.
I understand why Reader's Digest is not in production.
Sorry, no. Because all media deserves...
No, actually. Guess what?
Guess what?
All is strong.
Okay.
But thank you for that. That was
Yeah.
a ride. I think I was a little bit high from all the painkillers.
Okay.
But that just means I was having more fun than anyone who ever lay their eyes on this episode. Thank you for that. That was fun. I like Who Am I?
Yes.
You know what I
sorry
see?
to
I
this
see-
human.
Sorry.
Okay. You need to say the whole thing. Sorry to this human. Konjo bandlo is
I
the
see
name
it.
of the game.
I see it with the silhouette,
Yes.
the black silhouettes.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
That was fun. I like that segment. I also like how the clues were not designed to be helpful.
Kind of the point.
The clues were not designed to be helpful.
There were.
in any way.
1939.
They were not designed to bring you closer to the answer. They were designed to throw you off and sow confusion. Okay. And I appreciate that. I love that you cast that stone first. Hizo.
Wait, sorry. I'm so sorry. I just realized what I've done. Already I'm unrespected.
You know what? It's not even about winning. So it's fine. Who even cares?
Already my dignity is
It's coming to question.
on the line. Because my sister says to me, so you don't, in fact, know it all.
Oh!
And I was like,
Oh!
I
hate that. And I'm not going to have to beep that when I edit this because that weapon cannot be made available to the people in my life the way it's been made in yours.
I was like, what?
So you in fact don't know it all.
You in fact don't know it all.
Okay.
Okay.
What? Unsubscribe.
Friends, we have been away for a while, which means we have a lot to catch up on in terms of the Ultimate Girls Trip, South Africa.
South Africa.
We have episode 5, 6, and 7 to chat about. Wow, what a ride. To have watched them in quick succession.
Yes.
Because I do the initial
Yes,
fan watch,
yes.
and then I have to like watch
put
it
on your
to have
hat.
things to say.
Yes.
Whoa.
It's insane.
Insane.
It's insane. And I think from episode 5 till 7,
Yeah.
even outside of like Lundi's arrival, the story
3 days
has,
before
like,
everyone's gonna leave home.
Yes. The plot has thickened, it has thinned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually... Do you want to work your way... I don't even know what order we can go in because some thoughts feel expired to
Yeah.
me.
Some thoughts also feel expired to me.
But I guess our job is to still have them.
But this is also part of what we said we do.
You know, when no one asked, literally.
When no one asked, what decision are we making?
Okay, no, let's go. Let's go.
Are we talking about the foolishness? Mm-hmm. Or are we talking about like the broad kind of like insights? Because the 5, 6, and 7,
out, you know,
in and out,
in and
blended.
out. Yeah, let's see.
Because I don't want to start with the question that I actually want to ask.
So
Because I
now
feel like
need you to ask it.
because I feel like it's a bit of a Zimmy down, and then we don't get to like chat about how foolish these girls
Start with
actually
the foolishness then.
Okay.
I mean, knowing us, we're probably just gonna like weave in and out anyways.
Got it.
I love how we always fake deliberates. Like we're gonna like be faithful. Yes.
Okay. Firstly, I want to say Mel calling Bev Mshumayeli Bev.
Oh my
is
gosh,
so-
was that that long ago?
Exactly. I want to say that when Crystal says Bob Marley smoked weed, but Jesus didn't. That's
Jesus just did wine.
Jesus just did wine. I don't know. To me, that's
Is that cinema to you?
so interesting that a world exists in which those words would follow one another.
Oh,
And you would feel like you could say them out loud. Do you know what I mean?
It is revealing though.
Because intrusive thoughts don't have to win. They actually don't.
So Crystal doesn't practice segregation of thoughts.
I was watching this one thing where they're like,
There are no aliens.
came on stage. He was saying that this person always starts with their first thought. They don't go 2, 3. They go first thought and then they recover. First thought and then they recover. They never go 1, 2, third thoughts.
No.
By the way, his review of House of Dragons is so funny. If you're
Really?
a House of Dragons person.
I'm not.
So
But I keep
entertaining.
seeing the notification that
Yeah,
he's gone
but anyway,
live.
yes. So this is, I think, actually is very useful. That's that framing.
No, I think it's so instructive. Like it's revealing more than
that
anything.
framing is
of
actually.
how, like,
Thank you, Kev on stage, because truly.
Oh wait, you know, keep talking. I'm not drawing the parallels here, Joy. What
no,
a Kim
because
on stage.
a lot of these women go with their first thoughts.
Okay. Oh,
They
that's what you're
don't go
referring to. Okay.
2, 3, and then speak. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that's what. I was with a lot of. I was at a birthday party this past weekend, and I was. A lot of like babies were there, and I was just like, "Oh, you do your first thought, unlike an adult."
Yes,
Do you know what I
yes,
mean?
yes.
And then I was like, the difference between you and me is that I go 3, 4, 5. Then I comment.
Yes. Baby's like, here it is.
Here it is.
And it's out in the world now.
And then I wonder, like, with people like Christelle, with people like Nonku, why have they been allowed to live in a world in which their first thoughts can legitimately exist? Because we also have bad first thoughts.
Yeah.
And then we go, whoa, that's weird. Second thoughts. And then, you know what I mean? Anyway, this idea that like a person has their first thoughts and then their next thought is to recover from that first thought.
Yeah.
Instead of having 4 thoughts so that they can say something meaningful. To me, that's more what I'm saying.
Is it jarring?
That's quite jarring.
Oh my god. I mean, sure. I don't know much to say about that specific thing.
Sorry, you were on another tangent.
I thought that it was interesting that Bob Marley and Jesus
This is still first thought territory.
come up in the same thing, but I don't think. I mean, outside of Crystal for 3 seconds, that so speaks to Bob Marley's like stardom that like he's number one. I think for many people don't know Haile Selassie.
Yeah.
They just know Bob Marley. They think Bob Marley is a prophet of like Rastafarianism.
Yeah.
So I think that is so interesting. Like that's just so telling on its own.
That's also a really interesting. When I watched it, I was like, wait, there's something about Eurocentric ideals being placed against a kind of like an Africanness and the kind of ideals of like, we don't do that. We're Christian.
The conservatism
of the Christianity is going to be here at play.
Yes.
And then you weirdos can smoke the ganja and the Zol. Where's the
Zol is, and I think she also tried to reference that song from the lockdown.
During COVID?
The lockdown, yeah. And it's what I loved about that moment was all of. Number one, you can't have 2 comedic actors just going on a like perpetual tangent. That's one thing. Yes, Crystal and Mel are comedic actors to me.
They are.
You need,
But Mel is usually the straight man. And she's veering off that.
She
because
is.
Now she's making us lose the comedy. Because she does.
Because they're both so serious.
Needs to be the straight man.
I think because in that moment they were both doing something stupid. We couldn't get one. My favorite thing from that scene is Crystal going, no, because she dresses really well. Like, I just usually it's just the reggae. It's the flag. Is it the colors or something? It's the colors. But there was a word she was using. The Jamaican colors. That's what's throwing her. And I was like, why are you so adamant? What is this? You are dying on this hill. Also, why are the Jamaican colors throwing them off?
And also, why
dress so well?
But then it's interesting to parallel it, I think, to the next episode, where Liz is like, I just feel like I'm in an ANC rally. Where I was just like,
Liz doesn't know, okay?
I know.
Whether she's coming or going in life.
But that's interesting about like the kind of the actual thoughts that informed why these women can say these kinds of things. Because there's also something about like, because there's also something about like, and don't worry about us, we know that the governing party for 30 years has been,
the colors.
Has been in dire straits in this country, right? Mm-hmm. Don't worry about that. That's not the position we're taking here. Or rather me. Yeah. That's not the position I'm taking here. But it's bizarre for you now to then go, the assimilation of yellow, red, black in this way
and gold.
Makes me think of this terrible political party back home.
What did she say? She felt like, I mean, it was such a fleeting joke that I didn't actually...
But I was like, there's more to this. There's more to this. You actually want to say something else.
Yeah.
And I think you want to say something about blackness in a particular way and politics. This is a revealing throwaway to me.
Yeah.
With my thoughts. Sorry, I got you. You are on the Jamaican trip.
No, I don't remember what that means. We can keep going.
Okay. Anyway, if you aren't following...
Because now I'm looking at this pill and it looks like, is it going to freak Liz out? Like, I don't know.
And all the semiotics around.
You know? Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, if you weren't following, we've been talking about episode 5 where they go and like learn how to
roll a joint, how weed is farmed. Yes.
And I, in some sense, feel it's a little bit iconic to have housewives learning how to to roll joints.
Yes,
that to me is really
Every time
Very
Housewives.
funny.
And for me, what was interesting about that whole thing is that there's always, in a housewife setting where they are going to be confronted with weed specifically.
Yeah.
There's always, like, there are always, here actually, there were just two categories. In that they were, sure, I mess with it, and they're absolutely not. Usually there's like a, you know, I'll be involved in the experience,
Yes,
but I'll
but I would-
abstain.
which is what
But there's
Latongo
always-
did.
Oh, I forgot about her. But then, see, I guess they are all three. Like, there's always, like, someone who wants to virtue signal about
Yeah.
weed. But not, like, you know, Ozempic.
Also, this is interesting to me, and now I'm going to start asking more kind of serious questions. Nonku tells us, when the girls are sitting around each other, she tells us that that sex is sinning to her. I think that's such a profoundly heavy statement to make, right? She says she would like to operate in a world in which her desires didn't go against the Christian, beautiful Mshumaeli woman that she actually is, right? She keeps saying, you know, I keep acting out of this, but she also uses Christianity as this huge whipping rod for everyone, and also the way in which the way in which she becomes unaccountable. Okay.
Yes.
And so for me, I think her main problem with Ula Kongo is the fact that this person who signifies things that I think are beneath me,
Such as?
because she makes a big deal about the fact that Ula Kongo used to call herself Ibing. Now, as a Zulu person, you know that being and all of that is a different kind of like world reference and idiom than what is translated into English.
Yes,
And
which is just farm girl.
Yes,
and
and Unonku is kind of taking that in bad faith. But there's something to say about her modernity and her Christianness and her betterness that tell us that she thinks she's better than Ulakongo. Okay? But here Lakongo keeps saying, I am very particular about my sexual relationships. I don't typically have sex at this juncture. I know that I'm valuable in these and these ways. And so sex is not necessarily the most available thing to me all the time. Nonku has spent her life telling us that sex is in fact incredibly valuable to her, that she has sex whenever. And whenever anyone brings it up just in passing, she then is like, no, you're judging me, but also you're a Jezebel, but also you're going to go to hell. And so there's something interesting about her realizing that Lily being who she doesn't seem to care for is living a more moral life than her, right? Like, so there's something at odds there where it's not necessarily Lakongo that she is like fighting against. It's what Lakongo reminds her about her contradictions in and of herself. That's one thing that I want to say about Unonku. The second thing that I want to say about Unonku is it is well documented here that I don't understand this woman. In episode 7, when she jumps into the pool with a mic, I'm just like, again, one thought. There was no second thought, third thought. Okay? Nonku then also tries to... We watch her in that moment, in that very, like, such a particular moment where when the crew is very visibly upset with her and she's trying to speak to Alton, being like, I don't even know what came over me. We watch Nonku try to manipulate herself out of the situation, but she is definitely in the wrong, but she's still not trying to take accountability. So this makes me think, what could else be at play that I could potentially think about in ways to humanize Unonku? Because I can't always just be like, yes, no, mama, I'm understanding you. Oh, wrong. Okay? Because I've decided I'm going to be on a podcast talking about these people. So let me have my second and third thoughts. My third thought about Unonku actually now is what happens to people when they've never been in contexts in which grace was available to them, was available to them. What happens to accountability, right? I think about the way in which I've been parented. There was always grace, but because there was always grace, I could legitimately be accountable to things. So my mother would say, absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
But I still care for you. I still love you. You are still cherished. And I understand your humanity and your entitlement to make a mistake because of your humanity. Every time we hear a little bit about Nonku's interiority, safety hasn't been available. So her kind of next reaction is always to try manipulate herself out of the thing. In an attempt to survive, in an attempt to like, because there's no safety for her
To be fallible.
And what that does is that it doesn't allow Nonku to kind of, because she's always been in strife emotionally, mentally, she's never had a second to go, oh, actually accountability looks like me also being good to myself. Me saying sorry to you is also me recognizing that there's social norms in which this thing is inappropriate and is hurtful. And if it is applied back to me, it will also be hurtful. So let me figure out how to better be a person within that context.
Yeah.
I hope.
No, yeah.
What I'm saying is, and so I've been thinking about Unonku, and you watch her like in big ways and small ways. When she's talking to Mal about potentially Piet being her god, and that must mean that he's abusing her. And then when she goes and she talks smack about Ula Kongo and her virginity, when she talks about this other person and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nonku continues to be unaccountable for the huge things that she's doing. But what was crystallized to me in that moment when she jumped into that pool was like, this person, one, always has one thought, but two, is never in a position where she goes, yes, I was wrong. The whole crew and the whole cast had to say, Gail, but I didn't suggest and Jay would say you can't do that. I'm telling you right now, if she told that story to Jojo, she would have been infallible.
Yeah.
And so that becomes my question. Like, there are some people in fact, possibly a lot of people that haven't had access to safety and grace, so that the maturity around the decisions that they make the next time they make them is not available to them. That's my third thought. Because my first two thoughts are like,
Yeah. Fair, yeah, no, because I mean, when I think about Nonku's history of abuse, which is usually in its grooming phase, there to like break you down so that you come to a place of like belief that you deserve punishment. And so in that way you've earned the abuse and all of that, and like it's being done for your sake or because of you. And so I think that's kind of like, that's actually, and yes, I'm going to say, that's actually what makes Nonku one of the most important Real Housewives ever. Because she embodies so much that is light and dark. Because we are always like trying to hold her in both hands. Whether responsibly or irresponsibly. Like I've seen, like you and I try to be productive and constructive in our discussion because we've decided to do this. But there are people in their homes who are just interacting, you know, as fans. And you'll see them also work through Nonku's duality. Because there are so many things about Nonku that, whether from experience or just like, you know, common knowledge, you understand, but some of her behavior can be attributed to what this does to you, whether it be the abuse, the kind of toxic Christianity she seems to, you know, have grown up in, and has come to embody herself, and then the the purity culture that I don't necessarily think she grew up in, but has certainly come across and has felt judged by, right, in her lifetime. All of these things, we understand why we're one way or another. And so, like, we find ourselves in this circle of, like, well, why could she be like this? And how come I'm frustrated because I can see her humanity in this way, but I find it inexcusable in another way. I think that makes her such an important text. I sat back and I just, like, watched her. And I was like, she makes up so many of my thoughts when I think about housewives in South Africa.
Yeah.
And then also the season of Ultimate Girls Trip. Yeah. And she makes me do the most... She makes both of us do the most... Because here you are on your third thought. She makes us do so much... reflective thinking. Even the people who, the TikToks we've discussed about, like, people saying these are the things, that are awful about her, and that, like, but we all take instruction from her. Like, we're learning from Nonku, right? Yeah. And we are also identifying the lessons we've learned that she hasn't. Yeah. I just find it to be such a rich text.
Yeah, she really is.
To the point where I still think her villainy is unnecessary. Yeah. And it has real life implications. Yes. So I don't excuse any of that. But I think I've crossed a line with Nonku where I've gone from the frustration with her character to, like, accepting her as a fixture in this world, which doesn't absolve her of any kind of, like, of any kind of judgment. I think every lashing that we are going to have for her is still going to be founded on something. But I am taking her so seriously. Yeah. And so I also find it interesting, I guess the back of that coin, or like in the same wallet. I find her journey with Lakongo to be interesting as well. And I think it's revealing. I think it speaks to what we've said, what we suspect is the real dynamic between them. Because I think, you've said everything you said about, like, the class, and which I think is a lens you have, because you might have a better understanding, like you said, of, like, the concepts that she's wrestling with. One of them being ubupinga and all of that. But from where I'm sitting, it's just been the femininity stuff, the girlness, the girlhood, the virginity, the purity stuff that she's been struggling with. And everyone secretly idolizes, like, the person they critique the most. And I think that Unongu, and whether in a healthy way or not, maybe idolize isn't the word, maybe Unongu, there's a yearning there for some sort of approval from Lakongo, right? And that she felt over the years was not possible for her, right? Because they come from different worlds. Lakongo is a different kind of pure, and she's just never going to measure up. And she also distrusts Lakongo, but because she doesn't trust that Lakongo could have, like, these morals you were talking about. And so you see her soften towards Lakongo because Lakongo has become more open, and Lakongo is making more room for Nonku to be everything that she is. I've noticed that, and it's... Because that's the thing, right? Like, she does all these awful things and you play, and she's all these awful things, and then she goes and like, is human again. And you recognize some of yourself in there. And then you're like... So I think, for me, with every critique I've had of her, I think we all have, whether we admit it or not, like, you're like, damn it, I hate everything. I hate the things she proves to me about humanity.
Yes. Can I take that a step further? Yeah. Nonku's deeply South African. Like, her flaws, her homophobia, her story of abuse, her yearning to be in a different bracket, her...
she's also enterprising. Clearly to an extent.
Yes. Her relationship with conservative Christian purist culture. These are things that...
And also Western culture.
And wanting to play in the rooms of the white girls and being so fixated by whiteness. Is also really deeply South African. Yes. Right? It's the many things, the many manifold
make-
things
yeah.
that make us us, and that make us. And you're right. Like there are things. I think that the frustration sometimes I feel, and like visceral frustration
Yeah.
I feel with Nungu, is that I recognize that woman.
Yes.
I have encountered that woman,
And she's proof that they really exist.
and they really exist. And
even though they're
sometimes,
not in
like,
your life anymore.
and sometimes she's like, she might, like, she maybe like 10 years ago is probably what I might have also thought, given the context in which I was in at the time. And I did something else. And even me saying it that way is kind of like a judgment on her, because I'm like,
well, I made a
then
different choice.
and then I made a different choice, right?
Yeah.
But she's also deeply South African. But because I'm thinking about this moment where we're at the dates now, and she's trying to assert her womanness, but also trying to be fake humble or fake submissive, where she's like, you need to lead now,
With that man.
that man, where she's like, as desirable as I am, I'm just
she
letting
said,
you.
She said, you probably think, why is she with me? She could be with anyone.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Her fake submissiveness, where she's kind of like, but I chose you. I chose you, baby, and now it's time for you to lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I thought was weird. But then when this man is like, hey, I mean, he could have very different actions, but he's like, hey, I'm just a normal person. And I don't believe all men cheat, and I don't believe all these things that you're throwing at me. By the way, like, whoa.
Yeah.
I thought we were just like trying to have drinks and like
Yeah.
get to know each other. This is a little bit hectic. But
how innocent is a man who's
exactly. So
coming
I wanna
have a
bracket
second
him.
date with you on camera?
I wanna bracket that, because men are men.
Yeah.
You need to be up.
Yeah. But also specifically a man who wants to be on camera
Exactly.
with you.
Exactly.
Red flag.
Huge red flag.
Yeah.
Does he think his like bricklaying company is gonna get more tenders?
I think
because
it's-
of being on Ultimate Girls Trip. Anyway, when then Lakongo really shows her manipulation again, is when this man
Wait,
is,
Lakongo.
I mean, sorry.
Oh.
Nonku, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
Yes.
so sorry. When Nonku then shows us again, like, this ugliness, when this man is like, because I think it's normal if I've just met you to not be trying to put my tongue into your mouth. I think that's a normal position to have.
Yes.
I think that's such a normal thing.
Yeah.
And then she says, are you gay? What?
Listen, Nonku.
So now she's weaponized her homophobia so that her femininity can be saved?
Can be good enough, yeah. Can I just, I want to come right back to how serious what you just said is, but like, from Liz saying a man in uniform to Nonku saying that about, like, are they just saying things from the 90s and hoping like one of them sticks? Like, they say the most dated things to the point where this is not a logical next thought.
Yeah. This is what I've been saying about the first thoughts.
It's not. But that's why it's jarring, because it's like, that's your logical first thought. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
But yeah, keep going.
No, that's all I want to say about Nonku, because I'm like, girl, how could that have come out of your mouth? But beyond that coming out of that mouth, there's a deep-set belief.
Yeah.
Right? That now that you've modified your body in these particular ways to reach the card of desirability, now that you have made it undeniable that you are hot, Nonku International, anyone who rejects that or doesn't act in a way that you deem sexually appreciative must then be hit with the rod of homophobia.
Something's wrong there. And I mean,
you know what I mean?
not to rub it in, but it's not just men who are who stand that chance. The women around her, if they also don't in any way validate what she's chosen to do, whether it be verbally or by having some sense of envy for her or simply mirroring to her what she's done for herself and wants to be, they also then get called into question. They either are jealous or lying or
Controlled.
abused, manipulated, abused, controlled. There always has to be another reason why am I getting what I'm getting. But I think that's why she's such an enigma to me, because there's that, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also someone who's deeply insecure.
I am really concerned that Nonku... I mean, there's lots of very concerning things that Nonku does. She uses abuse. She just throws that in there. There are real life implications to that. Yeah. And then she also equates something wrong with someone being around their sexuality. That is so dangerous in this country. That is profoundly dangerous in this country. That is so dangerous in the province that she comes from.
Do you think she would say it to and about a South African man?
Yes, because I think there's a kind of ethnic homophobia that is that is available to patriarchal women, or women that think that they are reaping the benefits of being close to misogyny, of being close to, as if those things are not going to turn around with them. So Nonku, in the same breath, she hasn't done this. I want to clarify, she hasn't done this. But in the same breath, in KZN, she would be able to say, right? Use updota as a...
Updota, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think she would be able to do that because then she excludes you from your masculinity, which a lot of Zulu patriarchy does. It's about this conversation around exclusion. General patriarchy, but this is my context and of what I've observed of the Zulu men in my life that are deeply problematic. Not all of them. And even in that, not all of them are fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, suspend and bracket because it's a man.
Yeah.
What I've observed about the briefcase of Updota is always to try to exclude one or the other, because at some point we're eventually going to meet whatever resource that we want to meet. Homophobia is completely inscribed in that. And as soon as that's something that we can call out, often women are the ones, heterosexual black women are the ones that use it against folks that they think cannot have space and inhabit Updota. So I think she would absolutely...
I asked that because I think of Nonku as someone who's can be provocative, right? But she's calculated about being provocative. And so I think that she would be calculating about who she says that about, when and where. And I think that she would be crafty, about saying, she would insinuate it surely. But I don't think, and knowing the kinds of violence that she would be aware that she would fall in line of, right? If she were to accuse a straight man in South Africa of being gay, I would find it very shocking if she were to just kind of, I think that she would bring his masculinity into question, which I think is 100% inclusive of things like sexuality and all of that. But I don't see her saying it the way she said that. I think that Unonku, in the way that she approached Lando, the dog whistle there was like this soft Western man. Right? Like that.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't see it that way. I think I guess I still believe Nonku doesn't have a thought too, but I hear you in terms of how calculating she has been in various ways. But I think she would. I think there's an institution of black women subscribing to very misogynistic patriarchal beliefs around Updota that they think that if they can espouse that, they'll be exempt from the violence that is inevitably going to come back and make their lives incredibly difficult. And I think I don't like every time I hear Unonku and like more about her interiority, I'm like, I know this Zulu black woman. The Zulu black woman is a dangerous woman.
Zulu black woman. Like they're white Zulu women.
Oh, let me tell you about South Africa, girl.
What are you telling us? The Americans are perking up now. They have
what,
white
what?
Zulus now?
They're like,
Yeah,
introduced
yeah.
us to a... No,
That is so interesting.
no.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let us know what you think. I'm very
I hear
suspicious
you.
of her all the time. But then I want to say, there's a lot of folks, queer folks, that really go up for Unonku. I'm curious. What are we gonna talk about now? Because she's made her position clear in the sand. She can write a statement and be like, I absolutely regret. I state my regret.
Yeah.
But we've learned something.
Wait, do you think that that's something South Africans expect her to apologize for?
No. I'm just saying that if this kind of took legs, or rather if everyone kind of applied the critical lens that we're trying to,
Yes.
and then she had to
Yeah.
say something, I don't think she will.
Yeah.
That it won't matter because I think we have uncovered something about what she thinks about the world.
Got you.
And that's in as much as I 100% agree with what you were saying about why Unonku is such a interesting and probably the most prolific South African housewife.
South African white Zulu housewife.
White Zulu housewife. In as much as I hear that, I still think her being platformed means that people think that like these thoughts are okay.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking, this is another conversation that I've been thinking about. Is like, so we were talking off camera on the weekend. I think we were talking about the proliferation of reality television, and I went back and I was looking at Showmax, and it's reality. And then I was looking through my Twitter today, and I saw that one of these new kind of like BET commissioned shows hasn't paid their crew and staff for almost 3 months.
Oof.
And made it so impossible for the people that worked there to where they can't like pay their rent, and there was a bereavement and everyone had to contribute to that. Like, okay, right? This is interesting. This is a function of capitalism, is that we create these reality shows because there's less kind of work and labor restraints that make it costly, right? With a show like that, hopefully people can kind of get some kind of a recourse. They can go to an actors guild or an actors union. Something material can be done about it. But what that then means is that those of us consuming what we think is contemporary South African media is that there's no investment anymore in storytelling and potentially instructive storytelling. It doesn't necessarily need to be didactic, but it is imaginative storytelling, the kind of storytelling that made people like you and me want to be the kinds of people that they wanted to be and read further and think through and learn with the world, imagined and gave us empathy and gave us capacity to think about all these different things. People in this context right now are only seeing people who are being platformed for some kind of villainy, some kind of really bizarre social order, so that we can go back and talk about it on Twitter or X and go, yo, bro, this thing, whoa. You know, today I was just like looking through my Twitter and everyone is like, Mel is a villain I stand for. And yes, in terms of television, I thought Mel going down to Satan's butthole with her response to Bev is crazy and was entertaining to watch. But we should not be platforming this kind of behavior as the only... Like, there's a context in which people... Muvango has now lost... they're no longer going to be on SABC. Seven Delan is no longer on SABC. They are no, like, we are losing our South African stories that potentially helped us imagine something else. And all we are platforming is reality television, and I understand that's because the market is working the way that it does, and it's just easier to produce these kinds of things. But there's something to be said about the danger of that. The danger and the ways in which we can really be pushing people into a kind of like fascist rhetoric. And I don't think I'm being dramatic by thinking that. I think stories and imagination are so important for our capacity to be humane. And so that's my gripe with Unungu, is that I hear and I want to hold space.
Your gripe with her or the genre?
The genre.
Okay.
And her being platformed on a genre like that. Because there was so much dog whistling that, like, there's too many people that are still, like, on Nonku's team. There's too many people who are on Mel's team. I think we've forgotten that the point of departure is skabinga, skabinga, skabinga.
When it comes to Mel.
Yes?
Yes.
And also when it just comes to, like, this kind of thing, there are no innocent women.
Yes.
In this kind of genre. And that's what makes it more compelling, is that, like, you always have to see people in their kind of, like, complexity. I'm just having a more kind of existential worry about the fact
this genre and what it makes possible.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Liz's dog whistling, actually, and how she implies shade, but is never the person who is punished for it, who gets the heat for it, not even the person who finishes it. Like, she starts things. Mel was right. I had seen it earlier. I spoke to someone who is involved down the line with the production of this, and they were like, that Liz lady is so dangerous. And I think, look, in the context of the genre and the story, fine. She's moving the narrative along. But I do want to talk about the certain tropes that, because if we're going to talk about Nonku in context, right? Like, I want to talk about all of the characters in context. I was thinking about the things Ulithabo's behavior has made possible for people like Crystal to say and Mel to say, and me not bat an eyelash. And that is, she's just loud and wrong. Or she's just...
I'm black and bold and proud.
Yes. It's just noise and conflict. Noise and conflict. And I think that Lithabo, of course, has this big personality. I think that's who she is. I think it's part of how she ended up on this show. But I think that if you're not careful on this show, or on shows like these, you typecast yourself. And I think Lithabo was having that problem. Because I think she's been removed for a long time from it. I think she still has, Lambilini from back when she saw Crystal before. And now she only knows how I'm sure Lithabo in real life is like talking things through, not like taking every little piece of conflict and trying to like give it legs. But it's so interesting to me, like the molds that everyone kind of falls into in this kind of television and how that can be dangerous. I really found it so interesting. I mean, for Lithabo to go, I'm loud, I'm black, and I'm proud.
Simonye grooves.
And I was like, wait. That specific comment about you being loud, I fully entertain and actually almost suspect that there was a racial undercurrent to that comment about like being loud, right? And I fully can respect that Lithabo was like, I see that undercurrent and that is what I'm responding to. But I think it's important to take a step back and go, how often are you finding yourself in these kinds of exchanges, and how often are you having to fall into this role? And is this productive for you? Like, is this, I think, and so, some of that is like based on the character's own ability to master their role. I mean, look at how Bev has been able to kind of move in and out. Bev can get the loudest.
Yeah.
Just like she did on episode 7 and the most like seemingly irrational and all that, and then come right back down and have like all of this. Everyone else has this room to be different things. And I look at Letabo being stuck in this one place. Of course, Real Housewives of Gauteng is no longer in production, but
Not Gauteng.
of Johannesburg. It would have been like this perpetual role that she's in. And I think that's, I went from being like, oh, because listen, I hadn't watched a full season with Letabo. I don't even remember actually watching a season with Letabo before this. But I remember, for as long as I can remember, people who've watched Real Housewives of Joburg going on about like, Letabo is the drama, is the. And you have to think like, how does this format create certain kinds of stereotypes, right? Or like reinscribe them? And what does that mean for the people who are performing these stereotypes? Like, I mean, Letabo must be exhausted. But a character like that, and then a character like Liz, right? Who not only is like racially kind of like
ambiguous.
Yes, I guess, right? But like in terms of the dynamic, she is kind of in the in-between historically and all of that.
Yeah. Politically, yes, of course.
And now she's also that person who's kind of in the between. Like she gets to not be the problematic. I mean, she even said something around, oh, she said, would you let a white woman call you Satan when they were telling Londi what had happened? And I was like, oh, that's new.
That is new.
Because you didn't bring that up when it happened. So what
are you doing?
So what are you saying here?
What are you doing?
What's the plan?
Yeah.
Found that very curious.
Yeah.
And this is after her trying to get Crystal to get fired up again when Crystal's young man came to dinner.
Yeah.
I was like,
By the way, Crystal,
saying all these shady things. Oh,
I'm so proud
class
of you.
Class act.
Crystal.
Please, because Crystal understands. And I think that's also another layer. It's like, Crystal's like, these girls are struggling with desirability right now.
And me, I got my man.
And they don't deem me worthy.
Exactly.
So
What am I going to do?
short circuit when I come up with someone.
Crystal.
But I think, Liz, like, I've just been collecting all the things she's been saying. And like in that, and I was like, you are a provocateur.
Yeah.
And it's getting ugly. Like, it's not cute anymore.
Yeah.
Like in the Q&A session for episode 6, where they were trying to get to the bottom of like Kongo's sex life and sex history, right? She's the one who says, I want to ask a question. It's a game, but I want to ask a question. And you can tell it's about to be targeted. And Letabo was the one to save it and be like, you know what? Let's just like generalize it and do. And of course, people are still going to clock that. Like, still clocked it. Just like Mel clocked it when they were asking about surgery.
Just like even Nungu.
Everyone's going to clock. Yeah, exactly, right? You know?
Like, this guy was pathetic.
You know what's Nungu was just trying to be messy again. Because like, let it be pathetic. It's here to keep the peace. But the way Liz has been moving, I think, is dangerous in real life.
So dangerous.
And
Have you
like,
watched her
I mean, if you think
season?
about work dynamic, no, I haven't.
Oh, because that's
Is
useful
that her role
context.
there as well?
Liz is. I'm watching. Liz is not a favorable character. Liz is cruel,
Dude.
She's actually cruel. She like goes beyond. She goes beyond for the cameras.
Yeah.
And like does like stuff that hurts, capital H.
And then cries because she hates conflict.
And she hates and I keep watching her
gonna go
weaponize
home.
her tears. And it's also what she did on the reunion of her last show.
Okay.
And she literally stormed out, and then literally Maple had to be like, wait, are you in or you out? Choose what you're going to
Okay.
do. And then she ends up sitting. And Maple's like, you watch him go, what the?
Yes.
You know, because everyone is like, you've just been gaslighting us the entire season. You've been cruel on purpose multiple times. And then when everyone just asks you about it, suddenly it's too hot in the kitchen. Yeah.
So that's... Just want to keep an eye on that.
That is worth...
And we do have, what, like 3 episodes left? I think it's supposed to be 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure I brought that up before anything.
Yeah.
When it comes to Nonku, again, Unangu, for me, when I say that she's an important, one of the most important housewives, I say that in a context and in a lineage that involves a Kenya Moore, who is now disgraced because Kenya thought that in 2024, redistributing revenge porn was still something you could weaponize.
Kenya Mora is no longer across the street.
No longer across the street. No longer also stocked at Sally's. Kenya Moore hair care is no longer available at one of her main distributors for years. But that's neither here nor there. But that is behavior that this, like you said, that this format rewards.
Yeah.
But it's just so difficult in a place like South Africa.
Yeah.
To exceptionalize that.
Yeah.
Right. Because we are giving awards. We are letting people headline. We are letting them run organizations, represent brands.
And this is what I'm saying.
Represent entire genres. So it's like, when I say people like her are most important, I mean it in the sense that they tell us the most about where we're at.
Got you.
And like what is true, who we really are, who's really around us. And I think the way that she functions around these other women is also very telling, right? About like the larger South Africa and how all these other women kind of are in conversation with one another. And it might be a little bit too convenient in terms of, analysis, but the racial lines along which all of these kind of tropes happen are also very important. And it's... Do you want to talk about Lakongo? Because I think there's also things about her that I realize in, what was the episode where she just like came to Jesus? 5 or 6? 5, right? So she like opens up and is talking about,
just telling us a little bit, giving us a little bit of who she is, how she got there,
and what she's learned and what she would
say. And
she's
come with such warmth. She was just so charming in that moment.
Yes, and she was prepared.
And she also clarified why she needed to be quiet about particular things. She like really was doing this, but she was also doing this.
Yes.
So she was like playing to the gallery, but also let's have a conversation. Like even when she orchestrates that conversation about like, what has Housewives done for you?
Yeah,
because
which is
done
what producers
for
told
me,
her
which
to
I
do.
know, but like, but this is interesting. Is that like Tongo clearly has done some media training because she has to be, now she's a reunion host for all these peri-urban shows. So now she's gotten quite good.
And it's clear that production wanted to use that as an asset in her.
Because now that is part of her skill set, actually.
Exactly.
And then she's also able to then tell us the story of who she is. And you end up being like charmed further by this woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
So initially amazing. I think I even said to you, if this was preceded by a conversation with production about like how to bring you back, beautifully executed. We're back invested in Lakongo's story. We feel like she wants to bring us in, and Letabo had asked the question so beautifully, which I think helped. I think when I say Lakongo was prepared, I think that Lakongo knew this time around the questions that would come her way, and she was prepared to answer them, whether it be as a function of like time, maturity, or like having a goal in sight. Maybe she's like, I'll answer the questions when it makes sense for me. There was certainly that. And then Letabo then also was able to ask a question in a way that is, she said, what would you say to if you had been your daughter?
Yeah. What would you say
what
about
would you say to yourself about it? And and which I think was a beautiful way to frame it. So I relish in that moment. I think it's brilliant if I'm thinking about someone who wants to make reality TV their career and who's continuing to get the most out of their origin story. I'm like, you're doing a great job. But then I'm still thinking about Yongogu down the line, how everyone functions and all these tropes and like who everyone becomes. Ulakongo, which I think is part of what Nongo resents. Ulakongo is the image of a respectable woman, right? She's also a maternal figure, which...
Okay. Yes.
Which... I don't even want to say is a vacant role because there shouldn't need to be one, right? But typically in most narratives there is a maternal figure, right? And who's supposed to be there to like keep the peace. They are never there for themselves. They're always there for everyone else, right? In service of the narrative and the greater group. Which then becomes curious for me because this is a black woman who's fully figured, right? And who's already been socialized in ways that are, I believe, to be fundamentally oppressive to women, right? Purity culture, a kind of servitude to patriarchy that I do not recommend. And so when we celebrate how Latungo shows up this time, what then are we also celebrating?
Exactly.
Because what are we celebrating in the different ways Nungu shows up at different points, in the different ways Mel shows up at different points? I remember last time I said, the thing about people like Mel in this universe is that if they stick around long enough, their bell curve, hits, and they are now on the redemption tour, which happened for Mel. So for each side of the coin, we're celebrating something here. And like, that's the thing about South Africans, right? Like we let rapists run things. We let them dominate music, right? And so, of course, we let people like Nongo get away with things. But while we're looking at that, we're also letting other tropes continue to happen. And so I am curious, for myself as a viewer, and also us as a society, if Lakungo comes back, which I want her to, and even by the end of this show, what kinds of tropes we will have built together.
Yeah, I love that.
Even Londi coming in, I'm curious to see, how she's going to be. And I'm curious to see what Mel sees in her.
Yes, me too. Because she's the baddie.
She is.
She's actually the baddie.
Which is what Nongu.
It wasn't you, baby.
But Nongu's an unreliable baddie because she's a baddie without self-esteem.
My Queen Lundi. Oh, she know.
Yeah.
She clocked it. Very useful.
Okay.
I'm also now thinking about like, why am I so charmed by Ula Tongo? Right? I'm charmed by Ula Tongo because I look at her and I go, you seem a little bit,
come back here.
You seem a bit normal.
And normal is such an unstable.
It is so unstable. Because when Tongo is closing her eyes and swirling her drink when everyone's fighting, that to me is normal.
Yeah. Because what is this?
Because this is crazy.
Yes.
Because if we're going to use the conversation around simulation again,
I know that you know that you know. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And it's also really interesting to me when Nonku jumps into the pool.
Thank you.
And she's like, ish. Sorry,
and she takes it upon herself completely.
To take it upon herself to be like, do you know how much this equipment costs? I'm so sorry. We are so sorry. I'm so sorry for what this person has done to us.
And that's how we are recruited into patriarchy's favor.
Exactly. But interestingly, she does another maternal thing, comes to collect Unonku, Poma.
And is like,
and
now
wrong.
made herself.
And wrong.
Yeah.
Because Sam said it's
Yeah.
But a gentle one, but,
completely unnecessary from beginning to end.
And I go, what? Wait. So I go like, I don't know about this, but it does seem normal. Because the world is so off kilter in reality television that we forget patriarchy is still at the door. Because it's so off kilter. People are still so crazy that what Ola Tongo offers as a kind of balm to that
is what stabilizing for you?
Stabilizing, but it also like is in service of particular kinds of things that we forget to clock.
And you know what? Here's another kind of wrench, which I don't actually mean it to be. Because there's this patriarchal energy, sure. But this is also a workplace.
Yes.
Right? And Latungo is thinking about that, right? Which I think is
45,000 rand, Mike.
Which is not true. That's insane.
I was always like
45,000 rand is crazy, guys. And why is it not insured? Why isn't there another one?
But
I've
also
never been
was like, I'm sure you guys have insurance. Like,
yes. But also, why would they just be... I've done 2 people productions.
Yeah.
And there are more than 2 mics.
Yeah.
They're like, you have mics, king.
Yeah.
But But there could be some other inner workings there where it's like Nongu's already annoying. Nongu already was threatening the women's safety, asking for men to come over and whatnot. And there are many ways in which Nongu is not an ideal woman, right? And so she's irritating, she's a bird, she's all these things, right?
We even see Alton be like, were you drinking?
Yes,
How?
right, which
Alton.
is... I do want to be mum on that. I do, because I don't know what Alton saw. They were staying there.
But the fact that production kept it in, to me, is like...
It is a part of Nongu's story, though.
I know, but it is also like, hey guys, we went through something.
Keeping in the Mike story entirely, you're saying? Yeah. Oh, okay, okay. But, yes, I think the idea, it being a workplace is also something that I think is interesting, because then it makes it about, yes, the patriarchy, but also like the capitalist realities. And we can do, there are limits to how much of this character can go. Like, you are now doing this wistful young woman thing of like jumping in the pool and all of that. And it's cute or whatever, but it's inconvenient for this operation.
100%.
And all that. And there are many ways. There is something about Nongu being older and her doing that, and it's like, well, that's not what women your age do, and all that. Like, it's... I will tell you this. Reality TV drives me crazy, because I'm having to constantly keep different perspectives in rotation.
Yes. Yes. Sorry,
And
just
so-
to add to...
Keep funding it. Let's keep making... I'm joking.
Sorry.
Oh, turn it. The flat
Turn.
side.
Turn.
Is that it?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep
Welcome
going.
to production.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Because remember again when we were talking about Nongu, it's like difficult to like, because Nongu, I like that you like sex.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? It's like...
I like that you like sex. I like that you like boys. I like that your body, your choice.
Yes.
I like that you can tell a man.
If you meant it.
But because you're also doing this other thing, I can't be there for you. Right? Because you're also like diminishing people's power in really serious ways. I can't be there for you. I like that Melanie Fillion, who is again Skabenga,
Yes.
goes, but what does the Bible say? That's not very
fire.
That's not
That was
very
fire.
godly.
Yes.
Where she reads the
She
scripture.
reads, yeah. She did a little much though, but
She did. She was like performance.
Yeah. And it's like
BA.
it's like when she
drama.
thought she was slam dunking.
Exactly.
It's not quite a slam
It's
dunk,
bad.
but we'll
but
count
I
it.
love that. She's like, why won't she tell the good news?
Yes.
about the shady thing I'm doing on YouTube.
Yes. It was so like
It was so ridiculous.
that's the smoking gun.
That's your smoking gun. I think that yes, when you decide to be petty with me, I'm gonna go to hell. Like, I think there's some things around it where you're like, yes, because that's a normal reaction to this particular kind of thing. Maybe the way it's done.
yes.
Maybe like the
Yes,
particulars
yes,
of
yes,
it are a little
yes.
bit weird.
Yeah.
But there are some things that you're like, oh, that's, yeah. Like, yeah. But then when these women dig in and do really dangerous things and employ the things that we think are fine to do the dangerous
Yes,
things,
yes.
that's when I go, whoa, the fact that we've lost so many soapies in this country and will continue to, and also again, like, soapies are not my hill that I'm dying on. It's just, it's a different kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
It allows for different imaginative possibilities. The fact that is in severe threat in this country at the moment, in the creative industry. By the way, Gaten, spinning can't be the only thing that you care about. People are not being paid. Anyway, that to me is concerning about the mold of reality television and the ways in which these women are being platformed to do these very, very dangerous things. But also, I love it that Christelle says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a young man and he is going to be the object of my attention and I his, so that I can absolve myself from the foolishness.
Yes.
Yeah, because look what I'm going to do. Ngizowatshengisa, which is so.
And I'm gonna do a 180 camera pan while kissing
Exactly.
my boyfriend in an unbelievable way.
In an unbelievable way, but
On a
also
yacht.
and also something to prove to Nonku, you've been talking a good game. I
And
can
here I am
be
coming in,
about
you're
it.
begging men to pay the bill.
I'll be about it. That I think is so.
Yeah.
I get it. I get.
It's so funny.
I won't do it, but I can get how we got there.
Yes. Oh, 100%. I'm happy Crystal was like, moving on to like I'm just gonna produce myself. Just gonna produce myself and do my things. So there's literally nothing to say about Londi.
Oh,
Like,
why
nothing.
would there be?
She arrived and things happened. But I do think her arrival shifting the dynamic was so interesting, because I think immediately everyone is like, whose side are you going to fall on?
Yes.
And I think she's enjoying it a little bit.
I was
So I'm curious
interested
to see
in
that too.
Letabo being shady about Lakongo being happy that her friend is here.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she was like, she's seen Father Christmas, and I was like, what's your issue?
I don't think
Just what's your issue? What's your issue? What's your issue? I'm very happy and excited as a viewer to see how Lakongo and Londi have since mended their relationship since Real Housewives of Durban.
Okay.
I want to see what the dynamics have been since.
Okay.
Because the last time we were in a reunion in which Londi was basically like, girl.
Yeah.
So that's interesting for me as a viewer.
What's
and understanding
happened.
the universe of these
Yes.
things. But I think you're completely right about Liz.
that.
Liz is she's not being given the attention that she requires, but that woman is doing multiple things at the same time that are incredibly dangerous and are probably very triggering for many people to watch because there is a Liz in our lives. Yeah.
Why was the way that Liz in our lives is so that's poetry. That's poetry. Yeah, I'm thinking about what you're saying and just about like, reality taking over, especially in our context. Because I think reality plays a really important function. That scripted has a way of gaslighting us out of our lived experience and like what is real and all that. But I still think it expands humanity in many, many ways. I think it's an indictment on this government. I think we should be able to have both. Because I don't
That's
think...
what I'm saying.
And I think platforming is a complicated thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because it doesn't just achieve one thing, and depending on the body you're platforming, multiple things can be happening at the same time. I'm such a proponent of reality TV. And women specifically also being seen in their completeness.
And older
And
women.
also
I
the ways
love
in
seeing
which-
older women on television.
Yeah. I struggle to think of her as older because I have friends around her age. Nonko. But I think
I more mean
the
like,
bigger-
yes.
in the realm,
Yes.
yeah. I don't. I disagree with you on the platforming. Yeah.
Tell me.
I'm just what I'm saying. I think that it's important to interrogate the images and the messages that we're getting, especially the wider context of reality TV and the function that it has.
Yeah.
But I think we're entitled to both as viewers, and so that failure is important to
Signal.
yes and interrogate and like bang on their doors about. But I think that there should be. I think people like Nungu should be on TV, and I think that they should exist across from antagonists to their character. I think we should be openly witnessing, questioning, countering, and because I mean I and it's so easy to be nostalgic, right? Like we talk all the time about like what used to be,
Nostalgia,
right? Unencumbered. what can be unencumbered by unencumbered by used to be. But yes, the shows we used to have and what they did for us in the many ways that they were so good for us. But I also know that I learned other kinds of womanhood, right, on TV. And yes, TV can also be written in ways that are constructive, especially if it's written. Like, it can be positive messaging that's useful and good. But I'm grateful for reality. I'm grateful for unscripted. I'm grateful for the things we've been able to ask ourselves as a society as a result of it. I'm grateful for the kinds of ways we've thought about womanhood because of it. I don't think we could be as monolithic and scripted as we have been able to be in reality, and what that, like, simply having access to women and who are regular and like what. So I think we deserve both. So I'm angry at the fact that we don't have the other one, but it doesn't make me bemoan the platforming of people like no,
Nunu. I mean, I also share the same position that we absolutely deserve both, because I think reality television marked a new thing in my mind. I was like, whoa, wait, what else is available? What are people's different realities, right? I also want to make clear that I don't necessarily enjoy didactic television. I don't like preachy things about good women and bad women, this, that, and that, right? Like, I enjoy complexity in my television, right? And I come away from a series having gone, ooh, I don't know where to put, this is not resolved for me, but this is working, but that didn't, but that's ugly, but oh wait, that's me, okay? I still think, because the way the market is going in, which is to
salacious,
and almost wholesale salacious, the platforming still bothers me. It really does. It really, and I still am a person who loves reality television. It is instructive. It has given us a podcast. Okay, we do other things.
Multiple things.
We do other things, right?
Yeah.
But I enjoy talking about this. I enjoy like sitting with this kind of thing. I think, imaginatively though, it's constraining me and people that are more impressionable than me. And I was just thinking about like a interaction I had recently, and someone used a reality television line to me, or to another person, trying to explain or justify their behavior, you know, kind of be like, well, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I kept being like, thinking about like, why am I so why is this thing really irking me? And I was like, oh, because this person has forgotten that we are human beings that deserve grace, that have complexity, that the other story is actually not the thing. You've just learned the mode of, well, we don't talk about this because we don't talk about this, in that way that like white women do on reality television. And I was like, this is affecting my peers. This is affecting my peers and the way that they think about the world, and their social imagination are being constrained unless they're actively doing other things to bring in other insights. But I know so many different corporate women in particular who work in the underbelly of capitalism, who go home to relax to reality television, and then potentially start seeing their behavioral context shift in relation to the thing that they keep watching. So I agree with you. Absolutely, we do deserve both. I'm saying the way that the market is and the proliferation of these kinds of images means that there's more of this than there's of that, and I'm bemoaning that. I hate that. But then maybe, is it worth thinking about platforming a little bit more responsible things? I don't even know what that means, because I know that I'm not going to be watching it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so right now I'm in this place where I'm like,
yeah. It's tricky because it's like,
because what are ethics, Ayanda? Like,
sure. And I think that
And reality television is not where I go to get my ethics.
Of course not.
But at this point, that's all Showmax has available for me. And it's not. It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
I think
it's not. I know.
there goes our deal. And I mean, I'm going to try and be brief because we have very little time left, 5 minutes each. But I think that there should be literacy for it.
Okay.
I think that, and this is,
And we can create the curriculum for it.
and this has been my, like, my reason is that the sooner we take reality TV seriously and its implications, the sooner we take seriously the importance of having a literacy for reality TV. And yes, reality TV plays heavily with the reality, hyper-reality of it all. Like it moves in and out of the simulation quite aggressively. But I think that means that we should be aggressively, like we are with AI. It's like, it's happening. There are pros and cons with it. It is our job to like
Discern
and take seriously that there is a language to be learned, that's also just like a personal thing for me.
Sure.
That is the work that I'm interested
Sure.
in doing. Like
Sure.
what we're doing here for me is for me, like that this is a companion to reality TV because
Yes, this
it
is
is
a guide
useful
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is useful, but we have to be responsible about how we use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think certainly for like a macro like discussion about like reality and the direction that channels like Moja Love, you know, have taken and what that says and what that does to our society. 100%. I also bemoan that, and I bemoan aspects of Durban Housewives and all of that. And I think that there should be more checks and balances in terms of like, I think more about like who is being exploited more than anything when it comes to, because a lot of it, the exploitation, and not even just the people who have opted to work in production, but regular folk who just have interesting stories.
Yes.
And, you know, that line, like where,
Yes.
you know, so I think that should be, we should keep an eye on that. But yeah.
Because I mean, there's also no reality television union that
isn't.
I mean, it and what you're saying about the literacy about understanding these things could potentially
be,
because I was reading a long form article about a Love Is Blind contestants really trying to create a class act
yes
lawsuit against and also effectively also talking about the fact that like these are laborers actually,
the working conditions.
So what are the working conditions and so on and so forth. And so there's a part of me that's thinking about that in terms of regulating that in a sense. But there's also a part of me that's like, exactly like you're saying, people who have exploitable stories. But I think of a show, very quickly, I think of a show like Sizokuthola, which is just blatant criminality. Blatant criminality. I don't understand why that's not on television. That's blatant criminality. And it's creating a context in which people think
it's okay.
That this is okay. And so maybe my frustration is not even the Real Housewives of it. It's the universe Real Housewives has spearheaded.
Has exploited. Because I think it was pre-existing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But Real Housewives has given us a context in which all the girls watch reality. Whereas before it was a little bit like lowbrow entertainment.
Yeah.
And now there's market value for this thing. And more of it is going to appear.
Yeah.
And so I'm not resolved in my thoughts at all. I'm not. I'm just like, yo.
No,
hey.
yeah. I think
and so like you're saying, we're trying to figure out a kind of
a
literature.
Yeah.
And an ongoing one. Because we are also responding to it as it's happening.
Yes.
Yeah. We're not doing a retroactive.
Yeah.
Which we do with our games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great. Thank you for joining us. See you next week. I don't want to even talk to y'all. I want to stay in my head and process this.
Love you. Wait, comments, like, subscribe,
Share.
do all those things. Share. Tell your friend. We love you.